Yeah, definitely. And we will see if Infinity want to keep us guessing, they would just pick up another offlaner here, or if they pick up another support, and then we'll see. I think Tiny banned out already, so yeah,
Mm.
they go for the other Tiny in a way in the Tusk here. But that's also a question mark. Is Tusk going to be mid? Is it going to be our 4 position? Is it a Snapfire Rubik lane? It's highly dependent on what Dreamers pick up here for Adrian, but we'll have to see. I do feel like if Adrian wanted to, do we see the Doom come out again? I don't think we're going to see the DK again. I can tell you that much. But I think this is one of those setups where the Doom could come through and it feels pretty all right.
Oh,
And they'll also keep us guessing, but guessing as to, is this a coddle mid? Is this a hoodwink mid? Very, very different from Dreamers.
yeah, and well, the Coddle mid was something that we saw in previous metas, right? You kind of just go all in for your damage output compared to a core Hoodwink, which I think is maybe more of a question mark, but maybe that's what Dreamers want. The unpredictability of Hoodwink as a core hero is maybe something Infinity wouldn't be as prepared for, but I also don't know exactly how Hoodwink builds as a core. Do you go for damage? Do you go for utility? Who really knows? So I guess it comes down to what Jamari wants, but it's gonna look weird no matter what the choice is.
No, is atypical for sure, especially if it is a Tusk mid. And I think the coddle coming out in response to that kind of makes sense, but they ban out OD.
Hmm.
Okay. Still, funnily enough, hits up onto Adrian. Adrian is the only player in the tournament to actually play safe lane OD. But I am still looking at this mid lane. And of course, the reason Kato died, or Kato mid died, is because there's no small camp anymore. Not just that, it's also Radiant Coddle, which isn't able to farm nearly as quickly. Of course, Dire Coddle, you have the medium and the large camp next to each other, so you get to stack both, you get to farm both with the same Illuminate. So, it makes me like the Coddle mid even less, and makes me kind of want the Hoodwink mid even more. But then I think, well, then you're playing Hoodwink Core into Tusk Monkey King, which just kills you, just bops you. So, it kind of forces it to be a Coddle mid. But I don't know. Dreamers have been taking these gambles constantly in the drafts. They pick up these heroes that don't seem proven or, in all honesty, very good in the current meta, just out of comfort. And it has been working out some of the time, but a lot of the time, I kind of feel like they've been shooting themselves in the foot. Because you look at Infinity, you blankly say, they've got the good heroes. You look at Dreamers, you say, they've got some of the good heroes. What's going on there? I don't know. They also have last pick, so them picking their mid laner, a mid laner that I don't necessarily like early, just feels a little weird. It makes me feel a little uncomfy.
Yeah, and I mean the willingness to experiment. Dreamers are sitting at 5-5, so as you said, it's not like some of these risks haven't paid off. But if half those drafts had been more conventional, are they sitting on 6 or 7 wins instead? You can never really tell when you play that what if game, but Dreamers have accepted the risks, I suppose, and it is their choice at the end of the day. We'll just have to see how this all shakes out, because maybe they've got an ace up their sleeve. Maybe there's an Adrian hero here that really ties all of this together. Whatever that pick is, though, it's going to have to deal with a Timber who's picked into a pretty solid scenario here. Not a whole lot to bring him down quickly, and a lot of heroes that he can really put a hurt on.
Yeah, he's just gonna be the bully. Even when it comes to Coddle, Coddle can only kill the creeps around him, so it doesn't really help you keep your towers alive very much longer. But Oscar is also one of the old guard timber saws, one of the
Mm-hmm.
few of the best timber saws coming from that South American region in a really good timber saw game. So I don't know. I'm kind of struggling here. And they've got the Monkey King already. So the only and the easiest hero I could probably see for Dreamers right now is just for Adrian to pick up the Ursa. And we'll see. And they go for Morphling. So huge gamble pick here in doubling down on themselves going late, but also being able to survive. And of course, that is a lane we're going to have to watch real close because as soon as Adrian hits level 6, he becomes the Timber Saw. He steals the stats with the Whirling Death. It becomes a very close lane, but you also get bullied out pretty consistently. Eventually, Adrian is going to have to go. The Chakrams will kick you away from the lane. And then will 555 be able to hold versus a Timber Saw? Well, we'll have to see because, I mean, he's a tree. He's Timbersaw. I don't know. It's just a real tough draft, I think, for Dreamers to execute. This game is not going to end early. If Dreamers are going to come out the victors, this is going to be one of those 30, 35-minute games, ideally for them. I just don't know if Infinity's going to give them that much time.
Yeah, I mean, with the lineup Infinity have, it does feel like they can really just kind of get some of those fights going in the early stages. It's really going to start coming down to what does Jamari do here, right? Because Adrian needs time to build up. There's very little you can do to take shortcuts with the Morphling's build up. Drakeel is a very impressive team fighter, but he's not going to do any damage. So, one of your cores can't do damage. The other core needs time to do that damage. So all of a sudden, you look to this mid coddle and you say, well, what do you got? Just how well can you play this one out? And he is going up against that Leo style Tusk. That is the decision being made there. So, yeah, you've got the range advantage to work with, but it's still just a massive question mark, and it's a little surprising to see Dreamers willing to take the risk in the opener of a series where, okay, they don't have to win it, but they do need, those last couple of points.
Yeah.
Get a pause
Immediate
in the
pause.
loading screen. That's okay.
Yeah, I think that's one of those auto disconnect reconnect pauses. At least that's what it felt like. Because definitely weird. Not what we're used to. We're used to pauses in the fountain, but not pauses into unpauses into repauses. That's a little bit of above our pay grade. But players still gonna have to wait a little bit before we get this game started. But I am intrigued here from Dreamers. They've definitely posted some interesting questions here for them to answer. Also wonder what we're going to see out of Jamari, seeing how he kind of fixes the issue that is Coddle mid. Is it going to be just a Spirit Vessel rush to try and deal with the Timbersaw? Do we see him just go for a Boots of Travel into Kaya so that way he has more consistent damage? A whole lot of avenues. It's one of those multi-tool heroes that as long as he's getting net worth, he can kind of itemize for whatever the game needs, but is still gonna be kind of hard to pull off. And like I said before, Radiant Coddle just farms a hair slower, just is a little bit less efficient. It takes a little bit more mana for you to do what you can do on the other side, but just another thing that Jamar is gonna have to deal with.
Looking at his quick buy, he does have the Boots of Travel in there, so at least initially, that is looking like the game plan for him. But, well, for Dreamers, I am a little bit concerned about the farm distribution. At a certain point, Adrian is going to shove off of the lane, start farming the jungle. You would assume at that point that Jamari would sort of shift to a different position, but all of this means Drakeel is only going to have a limited window where that triangle or those stacked camps are going to actually be for him before he might have to either sacrifice his farm or go for the more dangerous farm on the other side of the map. And if Dreamers can secure that half of the map for him, then, more power to them. Farm 3 cores all day long, but not sure if they're going to be able to actually maintain that map control at the timing when all 3 cores are going to be wanting to be picking up items.
Are you okay?
Yeah, and that is kind of the nice thing about this Tide pick, is that the rest of the lineup really doesn't utilize Ancients all too much. Until Morphling is strong enough to actually take him, he can't take him, and Jamari is never going to touch the Ancient stack, so he's got somewhere to farm, and they keep a little bit of balance, but balance that only works as long as the Morphling can exist bottom. As soon as Adrian is kicked up towards that top lane, then we've got a little bit of a problem, because it's not like a Tide Hunter can normally hold the lane versus the Timbersaw, because Tide's a strength hero. You die. You get killed. The Timbersaw runs at you, and you don't have a lane, as well as some laning shenanigans. Morphling is in a solo lane currently until 555 walks over, but the Monkey King's bottom.
555 does now TP in, but as you say, they put Dodd in the off lane alongside Prada, so, well, might have suspected. And with the Timbersaw being the one up top, he was able to survive the 3-man gank, so, well, if your Dreamers, are you willing to play musical lanes? Should they try and switch this up, or do they just kind of lane it out this way?
No, I think they're going to sit with it. And of course, maybe puts a little bit more pressure onto Dodd just because there's going to be a treant kind of abusing him. But he's already got the trees cutting. 555 is running out of space to work with, and more importantly, they get the Timbersaw versus the Tidehunter. So you're going to feel the effects of that strength matchup even earlier, and even more pressure that your kill's going to be under.
May not be a super fun time for the Tidehunter, but just gonna have to deal with it for the time being. Meanwhile, looking to mid. Well, we'll see how Jamari lanes this out. Trying to use the Illuminate. Just keep the wave pushed up, because realistically speaking, you're not gonna avoid that scenario. You're a Coddle. The wave's gonna get pushed, but well, so far he's not doing poorly, ET, but you look at the 10 and 5 on the other side, Leo Styles very clearly off to an early advantage.
Yeah, he's got Quelling Blade, he's got a much better attack animation, and he's got more base damage. It is the kind of trifecta there, as well as Leo Style able to dodge out a lot of the Illuminate harassment by simply snowballing in the lane. So really, it's going to be rough for Jamari to shut out Leo Style, but that's not the goal. The goal is for Jamari to get his own farm, it's for him to be efficient, it's for him to make as much space as possible for himself, and then maybe we see him rotate around. But in the meantime, Leo Style is just being a pain right now. Just always very efficient on this Tusk.
That was a nice play. I mean, the shards initially looked like it was just for the creeps, but once he realized he actually did have Jamari stuck in it, you know, let's go take a couple of whacks at him. Obviously, the Tusk is better able to sort of trade out the physical damage there, so a bad play at all. And honestly, sort of bouncing in between the lanes here, there's a lot of poking and prodding, there's a lot of skirmishing. Nobody's committing for a full-on fight just yet, but also not shy about trading out some of this early damage. Although, as I say that, ZXCA will be fine. Oscar actually, with no point in the Timber Chain, can't realistically chase that.
Yeah. Still has to be so careful. He's one hit and one zap away, but it's bottom where the first blood actually goes off. Jingu stacks, level 3 on the Monkey King, does so much more damage than level 1 Jingu. The Boundless Strike, just too much for the tree. Not even a trade that he really wanted either. He still had a little bit more life to give, but no points up in the Leech Seed either, so the trade kind of makes sense. Been giving a lot of living armors over to his Morphling instead. Morphling, who doesn't have boots, sadly. Ward Scout out the Courier.
Good play from Prada, and now, yeah, 555 suspects, but his sentries are both in the wrong spot. Further up the lane on the eye spot there, so good moves from Prada. Helps get, actually not helps get first blood. He actually got the kill himself. Thought for a moment Dot had grabbed it, but between the first blood bonus and the Courier snipe, he's got a nice bit of extra gold, and the Sapphire, one of those heroes that we always sort of talk about. If you get money, you turn it into direct benefits. This isn't just sort of utility. Prada is going to actually start to hurt if he's able to build himself up.
No, definitely. As well as this lane just already kind of spiraling out of control for the Morphling. Oh, okay. Miss Boundless Strike will kill the play a little bit there onto 555, but 555 being unable to find a nice time to pull, it's very difficult, almost impossible for Adrian to lane with the creep wave so far up, as well as, of course, his Courier dying, so that doesn't help either, but great cookie, great slam in, no Boundless, so has to work for it a little bit harder, but really, not too hard, takes a few tower shots, but again, the creep wave is pushing out, so Dog just gets to take this all the way under his tower, even does that, yeah, full heals off with the Boundless Strike, very efficient play.
Top lane, though, Leo Style rotates in. They had ZXA trapped up in between trees on one side and shards on the other, so a third straight kill here for Infinity. Oscar is getting beat up by some tower shots, but max reactive, take a step back, heal up, should be just fine, but Infinity are getting the most out of some of these early engagements. Not overly aggressive, not out of control, but taking advantage of openings when they come, although speaking of which, Oscar is in a bit of a bad way there. He got locked down momentarily, but the reactive armor was already kind of stacked up when they went in, so not a lot of that damage is going to stick.
Yeah, Acorn Shot ends up feeling pretty hard.
Genek gonna get taken down, but here comes Leo Style again, this time with the haste rune. Punch doesn't get the kill initially, but Drakeel will go down in ZXCA. What does he have here? He's got some stick charges, he's got a bushwhack. Leo Style, though, still has a second or two on the haste, but he's got to wait for his spells. Couple seconds left. Can the deny come through? Not really. And Leo Style picks up the double. Another rotation out of the middle lane for him, and even a bottle refill here. TP's onto the outpost, so weird positioning, but hey. Genic is just there, refill the bottle, and Leo Style is looking real good right now in terms of his net worth.
Yeah, and he can even just rotate back top if he wants to, but it's such a smart rotation from Infinity because as soon as he rotates over towards the top lane, Prada takes over mid. They know that the Coddle is still just going to nuke in the wave, and sure, Jamari is sitting great, sitting second highest net worth, but he's just feeding XP over to the Snapfire, who is nearly level 5, 7 mans into the game, just got some free time to himself, left his Monkey King alone, but in a situation where Dodd didn't get punished, is barely hit up at all because of how great that lane has went too. I mean, 3k gold lead at 7 minutes, it speaks for itself. It is just that easy, and Leo Style continues to put the pressure on, while bottom lane is also a massive success.
That would have been nice if they could have put it together. They tried for the Boundless and the Cookie sort of in conjunction, but the Cookie stun doesn't connect. They're not really able to do too much here. Dodd, though, you have to be a little bit careful. He was pushed pretty far forward, but
this was over before it started.
Able to fall back, should be just fine. Meanwhile, for Jamari, he's not really spending as much time in the lane itself here, which is good for him farm-wise, but not so good for anyone else. ZXCA was just trying to get into the river to contest the rune spawn. Instead, he gets picked off as Leo Style gets another kill. And this regen rune...
And
still in the bottle, and yeah, Drakeel's in some trouble. He's getting slowed up by the chakram. Oscar, not with the highest mana count, but he's baiting it in. That's just... That is very well played from Oscar, and if you're Drakeel, you gotta fight those instincts. Wasn't able to detect that something was up until it's too late.
Yeah, and then Jamari tries to get some revenge, but that doesn't work out. They box out ZXCA, who TP top to try and help his friend, but still losing track of Leo Style, just feeds over a double kill in the top lane. And now all 3 lanes are starting to really do well. And there was a rotation from Jamari bottom to try and get a play going up on Dodd, but you're a Coddle without Solar Bind, and you shouldn't have Solar Bind this early, but it just goes to show that you're a Coddle. Your TP rotations are not very fearsome. Your hero is not too deathly. It's not a Tusk. It's not aggressive. It's not a stun. It's no Ember Spirit. It is just another farmer, and a farmer that isn't feeling too helpful right now.
This was over before it started.
And having Jamari on a farm-intensive hero would not be quite as bad if it weren't for the 8 kills that they've given up the other way, right? Because if this had been a slow, boring farm fest, then you take that. But the tempo is getting pushed a little bit here in a situation where Dreamers are not super prepared to fight back, as Adrian... Gotta be careful here. The Cookie stun doesn't connect, but they do still get the telekinesis. Dodd doesn't want to use the Boundless, though. Well, at least not the first time around. He will go for it a second time, but still not really an opening.
Yeah, living armor as well, paying its dividends there. More armor for the Morphling underneath the tier 1. Adrian keeps himself pretty darn low as well with the Agi. Just knowing that that's probably the best way to actually survive said Boundless Strike, but gotta be careful of those magic nukes. And ZXCA, well, he's here, but what else is gonna happen here? Unfortunately for him, I believe the Tome was sniped out by his teammate to try and get that overgrowth going, but finally Jamari, trying to make a play happen, is so close to getting the blast, but it's not gonna connect with his Illuminate, and now his play is blown wide open. Everybody has to disengage.
They have to back themselves away, but on the other side of the map, Leo Style's got a Blink Dagger coming out to him on the courier right now, so he has already been incredibly active, 4-0-2 in 11 minutes, but now with the Blink, there is no one on the map that he's not going to be able to hit up, as in the meantime, his teammate is stacking Ancients, so they're going to go in, they're going to look for kills. If they get the kills, great. If they don't get the kills, who cares? They still have a lot of farm to go get in their jungle, but they do want this pickoff. They're looking for the Morphling. ZXCA, though, was timely with the Bushwhack. Infinity will not quite get what they wanted there, but again, They've got the stacked camps. Dodd is closing in on his Battle Fury, but they're actually still looking for a kill. Not the Morphling, but still. Quick and easy pickup onto ZXCA. Of course, Leo Style's the one to get the kill in the end. 5-0-2 now, and, well, they're not leaving this lane alone. They are forcing Dreamers to either TP Adrian out or bring support in. Oh, defensive snowball, though, really buys time. There's going to be your Boundless Strike. They do get the Solar Bind onto Dodd, but the Cookie allows him to get away for now, but he's still going to get knocked back. And they will pick him off, but the Mortimer Kisses are flying through. Adrian in some trouble. Oscar comes flying in with the Timber Chain to finish the job. Looks like 555 will get away, but it's going to be a trade-off of the 2 carries, and, well, everybody's just going to party in this bottom lane now, it seems. 8 bodies brought in for the fight as... Uh-oh, CXCA. Gonna get spotted. Walrus Punch will start. Waiting for the snowball. Oscar comes in with the combo, and...
Where I tried.
You lose your Monkey King. Bit of a bummer, but Infinity do get a hell of a lot out of those rotations.
Yeah. And, of course, Oscar getting involved is what is the tipping point. He decides to alleviate some of the pressure that's placed up on Drakeel, but they need him to actually bust down this bottom tower and to chase around 555, which he will do. The trees are going to get cut. 555 is going to try to be annoying, but we'll have to see how they eventually decide to use the Tidehunter, because Drakeel hasn't been able to rotate out. Would love to make a play happen, especially a Ravage in conjunction with Jamari showing up here. He's got a Vessel. Maybe they just look for Genic and okay.
Oh, God. Leo Style, you kind of forgot something there. Well, that was weird. So they get the kill on Genic. They have to pop Ravage for it, which, yeah, efficiency, but you find a kill. You free up space to push the tier 1 tower here, ET, so it looked very ugly, but they got something.
They got something. Really doesn't end up affecting them too much either. They get some space across the map. They still see Dodd farming, but without Ravage, they only have Sharpshooter damage. They're being forceful, but aren't really able to kick him out of his own jungle just yet. As Leo Style, he's still looking for the squishies. He overextended, though. This is a mistake, and it's going to cost them both their lives.
Well, I mean, it had to come to an end eventually, right? Leo Style had been playing almost perfectly up to that point, so kinda overdue for the luck to run out there, but that's not a great time for it. You give a lot of gold over. Oscar at least was able to finish off the tier 1 tower, and he is still pushing this bottom lane as well, so someone has to come back and deal with that, but as you said, a little bit too far, a little overconfident, big misplay out from the Tusk.
Yeah. Oscar also just finished up his Yule Scepter, so not going to have to worry about the Vessel too much. Still needs to be a little bit careful, but have to see what Oscar itemizes for next, whether he just turns his build around for a Lotus Orb and goes full defensive, or goes for the Kaya Sange. Also a very good option. Right now, he's blowing a Tidehunter, but his Morphling is also getting bullied and Dodd. I don't think he makes it out of here. Needs to do some juking, though. Nope. ZXCA. Great stuff. Great bushwhack.
Locks it down, gets the kill into Adrian's hands. And if you're Infinity, well, time to clean it up a little bit here. You're still up by a couple thousand net worth, but core heroes are going down. All right, Leo Style fell. Dodd has now died twice in the last couple of minutes, so can't afford to get can't afford to really get sloppy at this point. This early on in the game, still some farming that the Dreamers heroes can do, so we'll see where they look to make their play here. It would seem that their attention's going to turn towards mid, just kind of the next most obvious play for them, but well, there's a Tide on the other side. Drakeel's going to kind of just do his thing, sit in front of that tier 1, and really not allow anyone to pass through.
And then Genic
stole the Blinding Light. It's going to set up for the Wukong's command, but there's going to be the Ravage hitting onto 4. Big plays out from Drakeel, but do they go forward or are they falling back? It looks like they're trying to fall back. Drakeel, though, he's not going to make it out. Mortimer Kisses fly through. Oscar finishes the job. The Kisses don't really hit onto Jamari, so they can't go for any more. I say that. Oscar, though, just chained across the river. But he's very quickly going to change his mind, so okay. Genic goes down, but he's able to trade himself out for the Tide and the Ravage. Leo Style, though, is very aggressive. He's got to be careful, though. This is around the same area he got caught before. This time he's got Oscar to help. They're pushing their way in, but Adrian into the fight as well, looking to pick off Prada. Do they have the damage? No, they do not. Bushwhack doesn't hit, and Oscar, he just kept chasing the tree. He's able to find the kill, but now a secondary fight will break out. Adrian's in some trouble, forced to waveform himself out. How far are we willing to go here on either side? Drakeel is kind of pushing forward, but without the Ravage, doesn't really have any lockdown, and that's everybody's cue to just kind of back off and let cooler heads prevail.
Yeah. Fight peters out. Oscar still maintains top net worth. He is still a very fearsome hero, but also Dodd rotates away early. Finishes his Battle Fury, starts farming up the triangle a little bit. It's where the fighting breaks out in a pretty messy fashion, one that he's very happy with. Gets a little bit more space. Really, both teams are going to struggle so much in this mid lane. Both sides are so good at defending their towers. There's so much wave clear that when it comes to pushing, we'll probably only see that mid tower go down after some pickoffs or a smoke. But until then, it's just going to exist. And it's going to make smokes much more difficult. You're not going to really see either team able to punish and break their way into the triangles because this mid-tier 1 is just going to stay alive almost indefinitely. More so for Dreamers, just because they're healing it up as well. They've got the treant factor going for them, but in the meantime, everybody just farms. All cores are existing right now. While top, though, Leo Style under a little bit of pressure here and doesn't get the blink. Perfect from Jamari.
Well, blinding light knocking him back. Still trying to make a break for it through the trees, but Jamari is able to keep the chase on, and they do get the kill. Not an easy one by any means, but a very valuable pickoff into a smoke here. So they'd like to get into this jungle. Realistically, they could get onto Dodd. It wouldn't be easy, and the Monkey King's already kind of drifting away. Maybe they see Prada instead. No, they actually do see the Monkey, but the blinding light pushes him in the wrong direction. Now they got to be careful. How far are they willing to go? They see Prada. They'll just get back onto the snap. But Oscar, I don't know about this. He is hit by the vessel, holding his Yules for now, and he decides let's not push that. Down 2 heroes, not a good idea.
Yeah. They've got Ravage, they've got Overgrowth. They know it's probably a throw, but Dreamer is slowly but surely clawing back some of that gold lead. They're farming a little bit more. This is where that Boots of Travel play from the Keeper of the Light starts to come into play a little bit. He's able to farm a lane while still keeping pressure and still able to fight in a lot of these long engagements. Oscar as well switches up his build, goes for the full pipe. Makes sense. So much magic damage from Dreamers, especially early on, that you kind of have to have a pipe, I think, if you're going to look for those early battles, because there's no obvious Greaves builder just yet. Probably Prada, but that's a ways away. But in the meantime, Leo Style hasn't really been able to make another play. He wants to get active. He was kind of sitting around bottom, waiting for somebody to show up in the Monkey's lane, but he wants to stay as far away from Dodd as possible to just make the most of the map. But Dreamers slowly but surely are going to use the map more than you are. And Adrian is getting really close to the Scotty, an item that is really not being met by anything else. Infinity's maybe looking for a BKB up on the Monkey King before they look for another big fight. But depending on how the fight goes down, if you have to BKB the Ravage, sure, that's great, but then you don't have another easy dispel from Overgrowth. It's where Dodd almost wants a Manta style this game, just to have another dispel.
Well, for now, as you said, working towards the BKB. Oscar, meanwhile, still doing this dance with the Tide Hunter in the middle lane. That is kind of the thing. We talked about how their presence, both of them in this lane, kind of stalemates this, but that also means neither one of them can really afford to leave for very long, so gets into a bit of an awkward situation there as Leo Style is going to get picked off in the top lane. Down bot, Genic gets caught by Adrian and 555, and they're not done. They've got eyes on Prada back up top, and that's 3 quick kills swinging their way, and now all of a sudden, Oscar, you're a little bit too far forward there, bud. Try to get himself away, but the vessel's on him. The Solar Bind is there. That's going to force out his Yules. Blinding Light. Well, it doesn't do too much to the Timber Chain. Oscar's going to try to TP out, but there's the Adaptive Strike to cancel it. And the Timber Saw eventually ends up going down. 4 dead across the map. No casualties for Dreamers, and well, Infinity may have missed their window here by quite a bit.
Yeah, 3K gold exchange. Have to see what Leo style builds up next. But yeah.
Okay, the
God.
Wukongs is out. Jamari, that's a very risky TP, but he's in. Solar Bind was applied. Pause comes through. Leo Styles making his way over here, so... How does this play out? Do they have detection here? Because if they don't, 555 could just sit here and wait. Let Jamari walk away.
Well, and let's see. Does Leo style find the blink? It's on CD for another 3 seconds, and they see him walking over. So this is very unfortunate.
Ooh.
And he goes. He gets it, but...
Alright. Do have enough damage for the kill, so Jamari gets picked off. Adrian was able to take that tier 1 tower, though, with Oscar dead and off the field. But look at 555. Still scouting. Goes for the root. Teammates are coming.
Well...
This is getting a little bit awkward, though. Genic, able to come in. He'll steal the living armor, so he's got a little bit of backup for Dodd, who immediately goes for the kill onto the Treant Protector. Will be able to find it, but now he needs to get himself out of here. Trees are being cut, so... Well... If you're the Treant Protector, obviously you were trying to set up there, but maybe the timing's a little bit off, and now with the Mortimer Kisses coming, they are looking for another engagement. They get directly onto the Hoodwink. But they want more. Will the snowball connect onto Adrian? Yes, it will. That forces the Ravage. It does hit onto 3. But here comes the reinforcements. Adrian cannot stand up against that. Drakeel can't even move because the shards are blocking his path. And he is punched into the stratosphere by Leo Style. And I think they just saw that Jamari arrived, so they're going to look to chase after him. Dodd pushing forward with the Primal Spring. Needs Boundless, but it's not up for 5, so they'll use the Yule Scepter instead. Locking him down, lifting him up with the Telekinesis. Snowball coming through to finish the job. No, it's the Boundless Strike that actually gets it. Either way, though, Jamari gets picked off in Infinity.
That was unexpected.
Well, ET, I was mentioning, you know, maybe they missed their window, but with a team fight like that, they're right back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they forced Drakeel into a pretty awful situation, but more importantly, with the way that Adrian got caught by the Boundless Strike, he was aging down. He was a real easy pick. He takes so much damage from the Timbersaw and just kind of dies for free. And Dreamer set up a situation where both supports can't help with the team fight, where they commit Ravage. So it ends up feeling like a massive mistake, as well as now, 555, well, he's got Overgrowth, but Timbersaw, the magic damage, everybody just sits so far away, and Genic just still living armor. So, always kind of the spell you don't want to give a Rubik, but it's gonna happen sooner than later. But I think now, maybe it's time for Adrian to just chill out, wait for BKB, cannot afford to get stunned like he did in the previous fight, as well as Infinity now just abusing the fact that their Monkey King has a BKB. It's why they get to push into the pit right now. It will get scouted out and should start to get blasted from Jamari, but he's got to come now. But this is also a play made knowing that there's no Ravage. All really Drakeel can do is run into the pit. This is a little bit sketchy, though.
They'll throw the Wukong's command out there just to try and deter anyone, but Drakeel says, I don't care. He's going to blink in. Someone has to grab the Aegis. Drakeel gets it. And now, yeah, Adrian has a clear path in. Oscar's going to get blown up. Adrian himself, though, does have to make sure he doesn't get taken down. But he morphs into the Monkey King, goes for the Boundless Strike. Prada, meanwhile, throwing out the Mortimer Kisses, and they didn't stop it in time. 555 was able to get there eventually, but eventually is too late. Adrian and Drakeel both get taken down. Okay. 555 is able to take out Genic as well, but that means the supports are now exposed. They're going to push in with the Snowball. They find the first kill, but Jamari, I think, just got a kill with the Blinding Light there, as Leo Style basically had no HP. And Prada, oh, that was a close one. Prada, able to get himself away. TP out from the Monkey King means that at least Dodd will live, but... Well, if you're Infinity, that's not what you wanted. Okay. You do take down Drakeel twice. You get the kill on Adrian. That all looks good, but that was supposed to be your Aegis, and obviously that doesn't come to pass.
Yeah, I think Dodd just got caught off guard by the Blinding Light, just gets knocked away, doesn't pop the BKB on the Roche kill, because that was not a fast Aegis pickup either. That was everybody fumbling, because Oscar didn't want to pick it up necessarily. Drakeel also kind of fumbling, didn't know what item to slot out, so it was a bit of a mess there. But because Dodd waits to pop his BKB, he has that spell immunity long enough to just sit there and beat up Adrian. Adrian's never been the aggressor in a lot of these team fights. He's just eating damage on top of damage on top of damage. He pretty much just dies to the Monkey King and the Mortimers, and that's it. It was very split up, very messy. And even though you don't get the Aegis, you still get the Monkey King growing, and a Monkey King that now almost has a Scotty in its entirety, where Adrian is still gunning for this BKB. So even ground with the Monkey King, something you never really want to say. It's where Adrian, he wants a crit, he wants a Satanic, he wants a Butterfly, he wants to abuse and jerk around the items that Dodd has, but because he has so little net worth, you're not really seeing those same forcing moves that you typically would see in this matchup. As top,
Leo
yeah.
Style is kind of stuck in the middle of it here. Still no BKB for him, so yeah, that's a bit of a rough one. And the Tusk really has kind of hit the wall in terms of his development. That Deso is nice. Obviously gives him more damage, helped them out in the Roche attempt, despite the end result being kind of funky, but he's not hit and run anymore. He's not invincible. He can't kill you faster than you're going to be able to turn onto him, so Magic Immunity could not come soon enough for Leo Style, as Oscar, he is taking a fair bit of damage here. Pops his Yule Scepter, but there's going to be the Ravage out from Jakeel. It really only hit onto Prada, who will die, but Dodd is coming into the fight. At this point, Dreamers got to decide, do they really want to take this? They do throw the Overgrowth out. That's going to force the Wukong's command. But for now, they're okay with that trade-off. The Monkey King pops his ult, some BKBs get used, and Dreamers really don't lose any heroes in that scenario and go right back to pushing top.
Yeah. Dodd does have to make the tough decision to cast everything pretty much defensively to make sure he can escort Oscar out, which results in maybe a little bit of a push top and some chip damage, but saves his Timbersaws life. They take a fight without their Tusk, so Leo Style gets a chance to kind of calmly rejoin the game, so it doesn't end up feeling too awful for you, but you also used your Ravage, you used your Overgrowth, you used your big ultimates from Dreamers, got a product kill, could be worse, but now they should really wait. They've got Adrian's BKB, they can wait for their CDs, their very long CDs, in combination with this BKB, they can really take a convincing team fight.
Yep. BKB up for Adrian, Jamari got his hands on the... That was the Kaya picked up for him some moment ago, where... Not 100% sure though, but Jamari building up, working his way towards the E-Blade, and Dreamer's still hanging out in this top lane. Haven't quite taken the tower yet, but they're slowly but surely pushing it down. The problem is, it's going to be a trade-off. Tier 2 is being taken on the other side, even with the living armor, to try and slow it down, so you're not going to claim too much there as the TPs are coming through. Stolen Ravage is going to hit onto Adrian.
Wow.
Mortimer Kisses are in. Genek just too damn good in that scenario. 555 gets spotted out. He'll be finished off as well, and that was just perfect. The instant his TP finished, he blinks in, drops the Ravage, and well, Adrian wasn't ready for it, because why would you be?
No, just too quick. Really well played from Genek. Genek is just flipping through the spells right now. He is just so quick, so fast, but also pays off. That was something they hid for a very long time. Something that Genek just kind of got at the tail end of the previous fight, like 2 minutes ago, but you lose track of it. And Dreamers certainly got caught off guard, even though it felt like maybe a push without Drakeel, without the Tidehunter and the aura from the pipe. It feels a little bit risky for the Morphling to be so far up, because this is still their timing. As soon as the Morphling respawns, they should probably smoke. They should look for some revenge here. They've got everything they basically need. They kind of just gotta go. Even Adrian decides to just queue up the shard, so that way that same situation doesn't happen again. It's not like Infinity have any natural silences, so might as well just not even give yourself that chance that you get blown up. Just give yourself that buffer as opposed to getting picked off, because that halts anything from Dreamers. It's not like the Tide and the Coddle are just gonna barrel down a lane and push a building. There's no Beastmaster or Leshrac in this game.
Well, Smoke Play's gonna try to find something. In the meantime, there was a Lotus Orb finished up there from Oscar, so a little bit more utility to work with, some more defensive power, whereas Leo Style, not looking to be defensive, he just wants straight in for the kill. Trying to trade Drakeel. Drakeel does not want to have to Ravage here, but it It is going to cost him his life. Dodd finds the first pick. We don't know if they find a second. CXCA is going to be able to blink himself out. Just got that blink dagger a moment ago. They are falling back successfully. Really kind of getting corralled into this section of the map, though, but it's definitely better than sustaining any further casualties.
Yeah, Infinity are just jerking them around a little bit, creating some space. Space that they won't need to use just yet, because Roshan can't be spawned for another minute, but we'll see what the timer holds. Because Infinity are going to try to hold on to this area of the map as long as they can, but they will have to leave once that cuddle makes his way towards bottom, as Dodd, okay, walks away, is able to get out of top lane, and that was the coddle TP that they saw in the creep wave. So now Infinity don't have to worry about bottom. They can afford to just stick around. They know that the coddle, if he shows up bottom, he's going to have to wait for another 20-25 seconds for his TP to come back off cooldown. So Infinity get to retake their outpost and then kind of hunker down, even though Dreamers are trying to use this great ward they have placed 5 minutes ago, trying to get some pick here.
They find anything. Genek's doing a pretty solid job of scouting this out. And if, Dodd did pick up his Aghanim Scepter a little while back while he was dodging the gank in that top lane, so he does have those extra Stone Monkey soldiers. The damage output is, well, it's significant. It's not something that I think Dreamers are going to be able to entirely just ignore as Drakeel. Okay, goes in, gets the Tendril. They need this kill, though. Genek is going to go down, but what will the cost be? Buyback coming in immediately. Wukong's command doesn't really catch much here, but they're still pushing their way forward. They see ZXA in the Roche Pit. They're going to be able to finish off the Squirrel, and, well, that's going to really be it for the first round of fighting there. Support's traded, buyback used by the Rubik, but if you're Dreamers, can you afford to do this again? Because the Ravage was deployed, and oh, 555, not a safe spot to be in. One tree in the river, thought that was going to be enough to protect him, but obviously not.
Yeah, and look at that. 22 seconds on Roche, man. He's been feisty today. He just keeps on coming. And Infinity, it's so fast they even traverse away from the pit, despite the timing. As Leo style, they all get hit by the Tendril, but Drakeel doesn't want the initiation. He doesn't have Ravage, but this is a huge fight.
Oh, the Chakram is coming through, slowing some heroes up, breaking up this lineup a little bit. But Leo style, yeah, needed some help there. They're able to purge away some of the DOT with that Lotus, but still needs an actual heal at this stage. But look at Drakeel go, pushing his way forward, trying to get onto Genek, hits him with the Tendril. And, well, this Rubik's not going down without a fight. He's just getting bounced around repeatedly. But he does still end up dying. Adrian finds the kill, but Drakeel's now in some trouble. The snowball is going to drop him low, but he's able to get himself out with the Force Staff. Wukong's command, again, not really landing onto a whole lot. And Adrian, he jumps the backline. He's able to take down Prada. Loses a lot of his health in the process, though, but still fighting. Trying to get onto Leo style. Leo style more occupied with ZXCA, and while they do get that kill, it costs the Tusk his own life. Now Oscar has to try to run away. Eul's Scepter will buy him a little bit of time. But he really does need help, but there's no help coming. The Monkey King decided to get out while he had the chance. So Timber's left all alone, and slowly but surely they were able to finish him off.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Infinity, all of their BKBs basically came up as they had already taken half of their HP in magic damage. Everybody was so low when those BKBs eventually came through, and because the BKBs are all used defensively, more or less, they don't get to initiate Blink Dagger, Punch, Snowball, Timbersaw hits the damage on top of it. We never get to see that play happen, and because of that, Dreamers just walk all over you. They just very casually hold you at arm's length. Jamari gets what feels like 20 spells off in the fight, while Adrian is just poking you with constant Adaptive Strike Harass. And because Infinity didn't even know that it was up, they took that fight so far away and forced the issue, they don't even get to contest for this Roche, and that is a huge problem.
Aegis into the hands of Adrian. Shard was passed from the Morph to the Tide. Both of them already have theirs, though, so they're going to deliver this to someone. I mean, 555 has his as well. Hoodwink. Actually, Hoodwink has one, too, so I think Hoodwink might have just gotten it, because Keel's no longer holding on to it. No, he actually gave it to Jamari. Okay. The recall is pretty big, all things considered, right? Now, Adrian could be clear on the other side of the map, just farming away and still get pulled into these fights if he's needed. Not
Yes, it
needed there,
is
though.
now.
That's just a
Yeah.
straight up pick. He dropped gem, too. I don't know if they see it.
Well, they're gonna see once the creep wave gets up, even though the courier, okay. Oh, guts. Kind of laggy. Still got it though, but more importantly, they're onto the tier 3. No heroes are back in the base. It's just Oscar right now. It needs a little bit of help, and of course, they'll get their free glyph as soon as this tower goes down. It's time, but Adrian also picked up the Ags. If he sees the Monkey King, he's gonna yoink that attack speed away. And then you look over at Dodge and you're like, wait a second, he doesn't have any attack speed then. He's got a nullifier. He's going to hit so pathetically. It's not going to be fun. If he doesn't choose to become the Monkey King, he's probably looking for the Tusk, in which case, if Leostyle gets hit by a stun, he's going to be stunned for an Eon if he gets snowballed. There's just no good way to look at this. It's a great item pickup from Adrian, and he's just going to kind of bide his time here. Glyph already forced out. Is going to be free racks, constantly healed up, just way too much. Of course, 2 tier 2s, even a tier 1 in the bottom lane, so they can't swing for another racks, but they're going to look for picks now. They're going to look to kill you. Jamari's back out towards bottom already, but 20 seconds, he's got Octarine Core. He's got CDR on that TP, so he's going to be back with his team sooner than you know.
And that Dagon is getting bumped up level-wise. Just hit 3, so... Mobility, nuke damage, all looking good for them as Adrian pushing his way through mid, daring someone on Infinity to try and get him, but that's just going to be tough, right? I mean, with the Shard, you're almost never going to catch him off guard, and you actually have to kill him twice here. Oscar, though, does jump in, and with the Mortimer Kisses, they could get 555. They're able to do exactly that. Drakeel is now kind of trapped up in the Shards as well, but this would be a tougher kill to get, but Dodds just says, let's go for it. They're going to push in. Drakeel's already taken down. BKB activated. Now they want to get onto Adrian. But he morphs into the Monkey King. Walks away. Stealing a lot of attack speed there. Not enough to prevent the collapse onto ZXCA, though, because, yeah, you're still a hoodwink. Still very squishy, but Infinity feel confident. Okay, you know, our Monkey King might be missing some stats there with the morph play, but we have a huge numbers advantage here. Just 2 heroes up on Dreamers. Buybacks not available either, so Infinity sense an opportunity to get some objectives going their way. Need to get the creep wave going their way first, though. It's lagging very far behind.
Yeah, 5v2. They can take a little bit of the map, a little bit of the farm, but that is the initiation they have to be afraid of, and they have to value. Leo style jumping on top of you with Oscar, it's a lot of damage, and it's a lot of damage especially if you're of this Tide Hunter or Train Protector where you get your stats stolen, you're gonna get bursted. It's where until Drakeel gets a BKB, he can die to that combo extremely consistently, as well as Dodd got really being able to separate himself from the morph lane. As soon as Adrian jumped on one side of the fight, Dodd jumped on the other, and even though the morph gets off, it doesn't end up affecting anything. And Dodd actually just hit to level 25, so got that big Wukong's ring. Got to be even more careful with your positioning. In most situations, Jamari is just going to be able to walk out of it, but no BKB on Jamari. If he gets stunned, if he gets every disable placed on top of him, his Kato can really easily go down. It's where Infinity are going to start to gun for him even more. They really should be.
They're going to be on the lookout for him. 555 in the meantime. Finished off his Blink Dagger, so you've got that Blink Overgrowth play that can be thrown into the mix for Dreamers. Maybe take some of the pressure off of Drakeel to be the guy initiating, but we'll see what this next fight looks like. For now, though, the teams are kind of avoiding each other. Dreamers opted to go bot. They take the tier 1 tower. With the sort of status of their creep wave here, they could realistically push for a second tower, but gotta be careful of some of the TPs. This is not the best defensive position, but they're doing their due diligence. Right, they send the Illuminate through, checking to see. 555 now kind of saunters his way through, and they'll realize nobody's here.
Yeah, a little bit of a retreat. Pressure onto that tier 2 bottom, though. Going for a trade of towers. And, okay, Genic thought he saw somebody top, but ends up seeing no one. Trades that Infinity aren't very comfortable with, especially with the tier 2 bottom now getting claimed and them not having glyph. they're the team that needs to blink first. So even though they get the lanes in and some good damage on both mid and top, it's not going to really amount to anything. And the more they wait, you know, the more the towers will just naturally heal up by the tree protector. So play Peters out. Even though Infinity stays set up, they're hiding the fact that they're still top, looking for a mistake here, especially with Prada with the Ags. You'd love a hero to come up top, make a mistake, especially Jamari. That's who they really love. Or maybe Adrian, but
Ay, Dios mío, mis ojos,
with the
weón.
Trickster Cloak, he's
Suffering
really a
from
lot more
success.
difficult to kill. Very annoying item for the Morphling to find.
Well, speaking of the Morphling, you know, got himself the Silver Edge, so presumably going to try and maybe take Oscar's tankiness out of the equation there. Of course, Oscar, maybe he's less tanky if you can stop him from getting reactive armor stacks, but he's got an Aghanim Scepter, so now, you know, it's not just the durability. With 2 Chakrams, anyone in his path is just going to be chunked down in terms of their health, so gotta be careful if you're Dreamers. The Timbersaw is no longer just that sort of beefy frontliner. Now he is realistically gonna kill some of your heroes if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, it's where it's very difficult to maintain. You really only see him farming with a single chakram still because it's just so much mana. But if he's ever looking at an item like a Bloodstone, that'd be pretty great. But items down the line, we're not in that kind of late game stage just yet here. We're still really just waiting for Roche. Both teams are just posturing around the map, keeping in these bubbles. Really, one mobile hero goes to a side lane, and then the rest of the team stays together. Even though Leo style kind of tempting fate here in the bottom lane, hoping that there's no Dreamer's vision. But then they pull the Morphling over, and it feels like they're going to let smoke.
Leo Style's getting real close, though. Real close. Ward goes down. They see him. They're going to jump. There's going to be the slow. The Tendril comes out as well. The Ravage will be deployed, but Drakeel is now stuck in the Wukong's command. The Nullifier is really preventing him from running away. That's going to force the defensive overgrowth, but the Mortimer Kisses are still flying through. Adrian, though, joining the fight, pushing in, gets the kill onto Leo Style, but Genic, stolen overgrowth. How much damage can they push out here, though? Jamari is dropping. They're going to be able to take him out. But they want so much more than this, and Jamari realizes the fight is going to continue. He's going to quickly buy back, but Dodd into the fight. BKB was already used, though, so he is getting a little bit disarmed in this engagement, but they see their target. They're on to Adrian. They're dropping him low. He is morphing to strength as best as he can. And for now, it's keeping him alive. He is falling back. But they have to fall back because, well, without the Morphling, their damage is kind of low here, ET, so Dreamers get the kills. They don't control the field, however, or maybe they do. Dodd is going to get dropped dangerously low, but they can't finish him off yet. Adrian, though, waveforms in. Adaptive Strike eventually will connect. And that will win them the engagement. The Morphling decides to give up on the heal, rejoins his teammates, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure what Adrian ended up morphing. It felt like he wasn't able to become the Monkey King, didn't see the stat steal either, but regardless, he took so much damage in that fight, and the buyback from Jamari is really what changed the game there. Very good from Infinity to get on top of him, and the Stolen Overgrowth gave them enough lockdown to actually find those picks, but without that buyback, then Dreamers do handedly lose that fight. It changes the tides of war. Leo style is the only lockdown aside from that Stolen Overgrowth, so it feels really difficult to take a fight after he goes down so early. But at least they don't lose any more buildings. I think this push is a little bit too difficult, but that's also where Dreamers have that perfect secondary objective. This is going to force you into that decision, a decision that you can't even make if you're Dodd. This is another free Aegis just given back into the hands of Dreamers, and I think Jamari unfortunately might want to take the Aegis, even though it's so much stronger onto Adrian, but gives them that buffer if they want it. If they want to chance it, maybe get Jamari an Aeon Disc. They could also look for that, but it's kind of hard to tell. And I guess, yeah, they're going to say Adrian, take the Aegis. It is much better on the Morphling, but there is a win objective now. Find Jamari, kill him, no buyback, die back on the Coddle. It's exactly what they need while they're looking for his BKB bottom.
Well, I tried.
Leo Style knew what was coming. BKB's, TP's home, so very much aware that the recall can come into play here, but they dodge it for the time being, ET, buy themselves some time, and yeah, as you said, Jamari now has to be incredibly careful of his positioning, especially considering Oscar just grabbed himself a Blink Dagger. So you got a Blink on the Timber, you got a Blink on the Tusk, you got a Blink on Genic, you've got the Spit Out play from the Snapfire, so distance can be closed in really the blink of an eye on the, onto this Coddle.
Yep. Gotta be very cautious here, as now Replay pushes in. Adrian wants a fight, wants a battle. Ag Synth purchased up from him, so has that extra slot. How do you use Glyph? Here we go, Oscar. Lots of damage traded out. Half HP on Morphling. Has Satanic, though. Just needs to get to a creep wave or healed up from the other numerous heals that they have.
Yeah, they do have quite a few ways to just top themselves off here, but for now, Infinity hold. That tier 3 tower is not looking the healthiest, but well, unless Genic somehow gets in here and steals away the living armor again, they don't really have any way to heal it. He did steal the attribute shift, though, so max strength Rubik. Always nice to get the extra health. Doesn't really have much to be gained by holding on to his Agi, so it's a nifty little move there, but they need some way to stop Adrian that doesn't involve Oscar just straight up dying. He is going to pop the Euls defensively. Okay. Drakeel holding the Ravage. 555, though, did have to use Overgrowth, so that's on cooldown for a bit. They got the tower, but the racks are still standing. Oh, maybe not. Adrian says, yeah, let me get back in there. A couple more taps to the melee racks. We'll be able to take it down, and at this point, Dreamers, well, could roll the dice, could try for a second lane ET. The way that they're positioning, they want to at least try.
Yeah, still have Glyph, though. Infinity decided to give up the racks for free, and Waveform's in.
Leo Style's getting real beat up, though. They need to be able to pull him back. They will do exactly that, but his HP is very low. He's going to take a trip back to the fountain. That's going to force out the Glyph as well for Infinity while they try to reset. But they didn't actually kill Adrian here. They didn't really kill anyone, so the siege continues. Tier 3 tower taken down. Melee racks under attack. Mortimer Kisses coming through. Punch is going to be there, but Adrian morphs into the Timber Saw. He is so tanky here, but Drakeel? Okay, I don't know about that one. Leo Style, though, did chase out of the base, so they will be able to take him down, but not only is your Ravage now unavailable, Genic stole it. Never mind, Ravage is back up. He did have to pop the shard for it, but he's got his ult again.
Yep, Ravage on both sides. Of course, doesn't want to use said Ravage onto the Morphling. Still has the Aegis, and he goes in, and this is your final racks. No Glyph. No more melee racks. Nothing that's going to heal. This is kind of doomsday right now. Leo Style's going in.
You bought back, though. This is so risky, but there's that stolen Ravage connected. Wukong's Command coming in onto 2 as well. They've dropped ZXCA. They're onto Jamari. They're going to be able to finish him off. And Drakeel, well, he's on the run. His BKB is going to start to wear off. The punch is going to prevent his actual TP from completing, and Leo Style gets his revenge. Perfect time as well. They were so close to losing that final little bit of their racks. Only 2 ranged remaining, ET, and the creeps are kind of beaten up on one of them, but Adrian... Is Adrian just going to look for the Megas here?
It looks like that's what he's going to go for, and yeah, I mean, he's going to get at least 1 lane for free, and yeah, doesn't decide to stick around for the entire set, doesn't want to chance it, because they're going to try to end the game. Infinity don't want to play anymore. They're probably going to buy Boots of Travel up on the Timber Saw, and then they're going to try and get back here. But there's no buyback for 70 seconds. They're going to all in, most likely, here. At the very least, try to size things up. But I could see them just going for the tier 4s next. They're pinging it. They know what the win objective is. There's no Coddle for 65. This is their best shot to win this game.
Do they take the chance? They're pushing their way onto the tier 4s right now, and they're going to realize definitively that there aren't buybacks available. Dodd, meanwhile, just dropping the Monkey Soldiers here with that Ag. So if they can hold this position and just keep on hitting... Dreamers are going to be hard-pressed, and that makes things even worse. The Aegis times out at the worst possible moment for Adrian. How much time can they buy, though? ZXCA coming back up. You're going to get Drakeel back in as well with his Ravage at the ready. Of course, that means the Rubik's Ravage is not much further away. 15 seconds, but there's going to be the jump in. The Ravage comes through. The BKBs, though, were popped. Wukong's Command now coming in. Morphling in trouble. Have to be able to keep Adrian alive, but he goes down. There's no buyback available. That might be it, ET.
Oh, no.
Tier 4's down. Ancient exposed. Dreamers, you can't wait. You gotta go. 15 seconds for Jamari, but that's too long. The Glyph is gonna buy them some time. Maybe this gets them enough? Oh, stun comes in there from Prada. He throws a card in, and now with the Stolen Ravage, they're just going to be able to finish it. They waited too long. They can't go in time, and now, even if they force a fight, Infinity can just tunnel vision in on to the Ancient. They're not doing that, though. They're getting a little bit distracted, but now they'll focus back in. Somebody's just got to hit it. Give it a couple more taps here from Infinity, and they get the job done.
Oh, Dios mío. I mean, I agree with Genic. Infinity, we're in such a good position for most of this game. Out of the laning stage, they're on fire. They're everywhere they need to be. And then they get stopped up. They give away the second Aegis for free. They make the game so much more difficult. They give Adrian time and space to work with. Oscar and Leo Stout give away a few key deaths that end up giving Dreamers time. In Dreamers draft, if it worked out, I mean, they would have won 55, 60 minutes into this game. And I mean, looking at graphs, it is so ugly. They went from having Aegis, being 2 range tracks away from winning the game, to dying without buyback, pressing the limits of their lineup just a little bit too hard, and then they get punished. And then 60 seconds without a coddle. And then it's a Morphling that bought out every item, that bought out a Butterfly because he didn't think that he would need to have buyback coming into the situation. And then Affinity just pressed the issue, and it works. And there's not enough time. And then the last fight of the game, Adrian doesn't even get to use most of his abilities because he goes in with Drakeel. It just felt like they crumbled under the pressure.
And good on Infinity to play disciplined, wait things out, recognize their moment, and just push all in for it. Because, I mean, you pointed it out, ET, the second that first fight ended, they're just going to barrel their way down. They don't want this game to go on anymore, and Dreamers just got to be kicking themselves, especially at this point in the group stage. We mentioned they're only a couple points away from being locked into the playoffs. They go for this weird kind of draft with a position 2 coddle, and it was inches away from working perfectly, and they just kind of let it slip through their fingers.
Yep, you can only hope your game 2 Dreamers maybe switch things up. I mean, they've had a rough week, man. They've had tough Div 2 games. They've had tough BTS Pro Series games. They've had some really bad back-to-back days. But, man, they don't want to go winless on what is some of their final days here and what could just be their elimination. Because they're right on the cusp. They're right at the edge. They don't want to go out. But Infinity, I don't know. Their decision-making was just too good at the end there.
Able to pull it out. And as you said, for Dreamers, we were talking about how many points they need to make playoffs. That means that they're not safe currently. So losing this opening match, not a great look for them, but we'll see what Game 2 has in store. They put up a good fight. Just need to be able to close this one out. But Game 2 on the horizon, only about 10 minutes out here, so we will take a short break, and we'll be back for the start of the next draft.